Welcome back to First Issues. We're officially at the tail end of our series on road travel safety tips. During previous discussions, Senior Manager Injury Prevention at Motor Vehicle Accident Fund Mompati Bontsibokae shared tips against head-on collisions, distractions, fatigue, and some on vehicle safety. Tonight, the series comes to an end with a conversation on the use of occupant restraints. Mompati, we've come to the end of our series on road travel safety, but let us close this with tips on occupant restraints, which are seatbelts. A lot of people don't like wearing them for a myriad of reasons. Some say they're uncomfortable, some say, it might malfunction, that sort of thing. So let us talk about that, the importance of always having your seatbelt on.
Thank you very much. Occupant restraint is in fact, it falls under what we call passive safety features in the car. These are safety features that are put there to protect the occupant from impact with the internal parts of the vehicle or being thrown out in case of an accident. Because when a car moves or drives at 120 kilometers per hour, you're also moving at 120 kilometers per hour. So when there is a sudden stop or an impact, it means everything else continues moving, including yourself, at the same speed of 120 kilometers per hour. And you're going to crash either on the dashboard, on the seat in front of you, at that same speed. Now, most people do not use seatbelt. Just last year, we were doing observational study here in Gaborone. We were covering a lot of areas just to observe how people use the road, including the use of occupant restraint. It was amazing, shocking to realize that around only 30% of the motorists, that is drivers and passengers, including children, only 30% were using occupant restraint, seat belt and child seats. The West is putting children on the child seats. And we know the reason why we're having so many accidents, not just accidents, but injuries. Because when you are not putting on a seat belt, whenever anything happens, you can easily be thrown out of the car. So the seat belt is there to hold you back on your seat in case there is an impact. Is there to hold the child tight on the seat in case there is an impact. We always see parents who drive their children around with children standing in between the seats, and the parent is there putting on a seat belt. And I wonder, what kind of love is this? If you love your child, how can you safeguard yourself and you fail to safeguard your child? And they will always say, no, there's always a way of teaching a child, showing, because they learn by experience. So if you slow down, just slowly drop down the speed and you brake hard, they will experience that movement and they will know the reason why they need to use the seatbelt. Another aspect has to do with properly using the seatbelt. Some people use the seatbelt, but they don't use it in such a way that it can provide them with the maximum safety. Some of them, they will take the top webbing part of the seatbelt and put it under the armpit. When there is an impact, more especially a forward impact, it means the top part, because it's under the armpit, is going to slide lower, and the lower part is going to tighten, and it will press and cause internal injuries because these are soft tissues. So that's how bad it can be. So the seat belt might have to go over your lap on the pelvic bone, and here it has to cut across the chest.
Let's talk about the myths around using seatbelts. A lot of people would tell you that like I was saying at the beginning, the seatbelt is very uncomfortable. And some people will go so far as to say that, you know, whether you use a seatbelt or not does not determine if you would survive a collision. So what key message do you have for people who have that belief?
You know, as an accident investigator, I have seen many type of crashes whereby people survive because they were using a seatbelt, and also many injuries, severe, terrible injuries, because the person was thrown out, maybe I don't know, and the rest were safeguarded by a seatbelt. So I know that there are these negative perceptions that the seatbelt cannot give you maximum protection. The other myth, and it came out in one of our researches, the Road User Risk Awareness Survey. People were saying the danger about using the seatbelt is that when you have an accident, the seatbelt will lock itself and you try to come out, you will not be able to unlock it. It's just a myth. Some, particularly pregnant women, they were saying it makes them feel uncomfortable. They think it's not safe for the baby. But you know, it's all about how you wear it, because you have to wear it. If you can't wear it, then you are not protecting yourself, and you are not even protecting the baby. So our advice is that let us use seatbelt. So I would like to advise the parents out there, if we love our children, let's make sure that we put them on seatbelt. And again, you sit at the back, so that they are protected by the front seats. If you are a driver and you have passengers, advise your passengers to use seatbelts. Globally, once the seatbelt were introduced, it has been noted that they drastically reduced the accident severity and the number of deaths.
Thank you so much for watching First Issues, but unfortunately we've come to the end of tonight's installment. But to those who celebrate the holiday, we wish you a very Merry Christmas. Until next time, have yourselves a pleasant evening. Good night.